Welcome to Behind the Numbers, a podcast with the aim of disseminating news, research, and educational resources pertaining to epidemiology and biostatistics, cultivating a network of students and professionals with interests in these topics. I'm your host, Gabriele Zitikyte, and in this episode we will be joined by Mary Scott, master's student in epidemiology and president of the uOttawa chapter of the Canadian Society of Epidemiology and Biostatistics. In this episode, we will be chatting about Mary's unconventional path into epidemiology, as well as taking a deep dive into her role as president and all that she hopes to achieve this year with CSEB. I am so excited to have her on as a guest. As an executive member on the uOttawa chapter of CSEP, I have gotten to experience firsthand what an amazing leader, collaborator, and researcher Mary is, and I look forward to you all hearing more about her story. Thanks, guys. Welcome to Behind the Numbers podcast, where we do a deep dive on all things epi and biostats. Our first guest is Mary Scott. She is the president of the University of Ottawa chapter of the Canadian Society of Epidemiology and Biostatistics, CSEB for short. Welcome, Mary. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Gabby, for having me. I'm really excited.
I'm excited to hear about you and how you got into these roles. But tell us about how you got here first before we get into the depths of this.
So I have a little bit of an unconventional background. I grew up outside of Ottawa on a farm. I was homeschooled and went into college after high school to start a career in dental assisting.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's a little off. I ended up pursuing anthropology for an undergraduate degree at Carleton. And in my last year, I did a course where I met my supervisor, my current supervisor, who did a systematic review with me on palliative care. So I had a little bit of a journey to get
so
here.
Literally you thought until fourth year that you were going to be a dental assistant. And at that moment you met and you were like, nope, epidemiology.
Well, when I started university, I did feel I was changing my career.
Okay.
So yeah, I had a little bit of a change in my career, although I still worked as a dental assistant. Yeah. I knew I wanted more in my life than what dental had to offer me.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then so your current supervisor, who's that, sorry?
Oh, it's Dr. Peter Tanasaputro.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then so are you continuing in palliative care with him right now for your master's thesis?
So we do focus a lot of our research on vulnerable and end-of-life populations, and we work with ICES data. So it's population health administrative data, and it's housed at ICES, which is a data holding center. Mm-hmm. My thesis is looking at primary care physicians who deliver home visits to patients who are at the end of life. And we do know that patients at the end of life often want care in the home. However, there's very few patients actually receiving these home visits. Yeah. So we're looking at physicians who deliver them, and we're comparing them to physicians who don't deliver them. And we're trying to figure out if there are certain characteristics of the physicians that do deliver them. So this is including personal characteristics, health characteristics of the physicians. It's also looking at their remuneration model, so how they're being paid, and whether or not there are supports for the physicians that are delivering visits that maybe we could work towards providing all physicians in the future.
Oh, wow. So correct me if I'm wrong, your end goal with this would be to sort of enhance the amount of physicians providing that at-home care.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah, we do believe, based on our previous research, that patients would benefit from having this relationship with their physician at the end of life, and it really does give people a better end of life experience from what we know.
Yeah, and I mean, anecdotally, even through these times, we see how much isolation and lack of contact during even this pandemic is affecting everyone's mental health and just how we go about it. So that's an awesome field to be in, and just sort of trying to keep that connection, or sorry, not keep it, but increase it and grow it and make it stronger. I think that will definitely benefit everyone.
I would have to agree.
And then so for moving on to CSEP, did you, while you were doing your first year of your master's, is that when you heard about it, or did you hear about it in undergrad, or how'd you get into that?
Yeah, I heard about it actually from one of the co-presidents last year, Wen-Chin Lee, who she was co-presidents with Ryan Everson,
Mhm.
and she is a PhD student at uOttawa, and she shared her passion for science and teaching, and got me involved as VP Social last year.
Nice.
It was wonderful. I really enjoyed working with them, and I learned a lot from them actually about how to deliver this type of information to students and just even running events and things like that.
Yeah.
So it
And
was
then
good.
now you're president. Was that a natural handover? Were you applying last year? How did you get into this role from VP Social?
Yeah, so Ryan and Wenshin, they reached out and asked all the previous execs who wanted to get involved. Omar and I both were interested, and they handed over the president title to me, although Omar is going to be building through being our VP outreach. He's going to be working a lot with undergrad students and building the future student body through that.
I mean, you got both sides of the coin. You got you as kind of the leader, and he's sort of kind of pulling in the people to add to this society that you're heading. So I think, yeah, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
where are you trying to just continue momentum, or are there any changes you want to make to the society this year? What are your plans for this year?
Yeah, so we are definitely gaining momentum. I think Wenshin and Ryan did an amazing job. Our whole team did an amazing job last year, putting on workshops and events. Although the pandemic sort of hit at the end,
Yeah.
I think we have a great advantage this year because of the pandemic. First of all, epidemiology is put on the map. I don't
Yes.
have to explain what the word means.
People don't think you're studying skin anymore.
Exactly. We actually have more buy-in from not only the public, but also health and math students, I think, they're interested. They want to know more. And also because of everything being virtual, we have a bigger reach and we have a lot more engagement online. So we are hoping to bring a bunch of virtual events and hopefully engage people even outside of the events through building a community of people that are interested in this and that can be a resource and mentors for people who are interested in actually getting into this field.
So it's not even necessarily then, say, for just graduate students in the Faculty of Med. Pretty much anyone at uOttawa can join, whether a math student, bio, arts, anthro, any engineering. Could it be anyone?
Exactly. I think research is huge on collaboration.
Yeah.
And generally, like I've learned from my work in research just only a couple years, but I've learned that working with multidisciplinary fields
Yeah.
is actually amazing. Like you get a lot of benefits from working with different perspectives, and people have skills that you don't have. And when you work with different fields and different scientists and even non-scientific groups, you actually build a community. It's not just a niche. You suddenly start actually having a culture and like an understanding of each other that is deepened. So I'm excited to actually be able to offer something that could build into a broader community.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I think when you look at, say, a master's of epidemiology, it sounds very niched, or you think of biostatistics, it sounds niche. But if you look at biostats, you have all of the background stats. You got everyone from the math department that could join, that can help sort of supplement that learning. Epidemiology, are you epidemiology, like clinical epidemiology, more public health? Are you even, there's someone in my cohort is a veterinary doctor, so they are doing epidemiology to study parasites, I believe, that are in their cattle. So like it can go anywhere. You got biology, you got everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the best part about collaboration. Like different minds are going to see everything in a different perspective.
Yeah. And projects are really a team-based endeavor. You cannot really do a research project on your own. It's just, it doesn't happen.
I mean, so, look at all his publications. You got like 5 to 10 names on each of them.
Exactly. It's not one person.
Yeah. And then, so are there any events that you guys are planning for this year? Are they similar to last year, or what do you got planned for us?
So we do have some annual events that we will be hosting, such as Applications 101 for people getting into the program. But our first event this year is actually going to be an info session for people interested in biostats and epi, just to learn more and get also gauge the community's interest. We're trying to outreach, but also understand who our followers are and what you want to hear from us.
And is that open to, say, only uOttawa students, or say if there's someone from a different school who might be interested in our epi program, could they join these info? Because everything's virtual now. So I assume anyone from anywhere can kind of join in, learn about the program.
Of course. Yeah, it's open to everyone. We'd be happy if people were interested from other schools to join. It is a national body. We're just one chapter of that. So we are always working with the national body to try to deliver you a whole set of resources that are beyond just our own school.
That's awesome. And then, so this one's more catered to undergrads. I'm just assuming that there's going to be some more graduate styled events, or catered to, say, the professional or higher scientists who want to come aboard.
Yeah, this year we're also trying to make sure that we include the professionals and the faculty in our events, not only as a resource for students, but actually to build their own community as well. Because I think that's something that is often in universities, it's so focused on the students and their needs that faculty members can get overwhelmed, and they don't necessarily always get the best community, especially with the pandemic. I can imagine that would be a challenge.
Even I'd assume getting students into your research lab, like how do you get that network? How do you spread the word?
Exactly. That's a great point.
That's really cool. And where can people find more info about all of these, or follow along with all your CSEB endeavors?
We have social media accounts for you to follow, because we will be keeping you updated as the events are coming up and giving you like a full rundown of the events that are going to be held. So you can follow us on Instagram at CSEB Ottawa.
Awesome.
And you can follow us on Twitter.
And Facebook. All three.
And
all three have the same handle, at CSEB Ottawa.
We have Gabby as our wonderful VP Communications, always bringing you the content with fresh design from Dilan.
Yes, so, got those aesthetics on fleek, as they say.
Wonderful.
I was going to ask you something about CSEB Ottawa. Oh, yeah. So that first event, do you know around when we're starting up? When can people start looking forward to these events coming out? When should they keep their eyes peeled?
Our first event is coming in October. Early October, we will be advertising for this event. So keep your eyes peeled.
Keep watching. Yes. Stay tuned. Okay, great. So we got Instagram, we got Twitter, we got Facebook at CSEB Ottawa for all three. While you're doing that and you got the apps open, follow at Behind the Numbers. There's no E in numbers. So that you can stay up to date with this podcast and all we got going on. We have some really exciting guests, which I'm very much looking forward to. It'll be very educational resources, research, honestly, everything. If you're interested in epi and biostats, it's going to have everything for you.
I will be staying tuned because I am excited for your guests.
Because you're required to as president. Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm entirely kidding. I'm very excited for it. And I know you've actually been such an amazing help on the back end and sidelines of trying to figure all this out, which has been very much appreciated as a newcomer to this program, society, everything. Your support has been awesome throughout it all. So I'm very excited.
Thanks. You should be proud of yourself. You're doing a lot. We're excited for you.
I'm so excited. I'm so happy you were here with us today. I think this was a lovely introduction to the podcast and just what we're about, where we can go from here.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We had such a great episode with Mary Scott. Just a reminder to stay updated on all that she'll be getting up to this year. Follow her at CSEB Ottawa on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as MaryM_Scott on Twitter. While you're at it, follow us at Behind the Numbers with no E in numbers. And please like, subscribe, comment on these videos. We'll be coming out every Monday. So share us with your friends, your colleagues, and thanks for the support. Have a great week, everyone.